Hello and welcome back. I'm your friendly neighborhood technician. Sorry it's been a bit, but I've kind of reached that point in the project where stuff begins to get really expensive. So I'm about to get these heads and the block right here sent off to get cleaned. Hopefully that they get sent off tomorrow, but I have to take apart take the valves out and valve springs and all that other stuff. So I have to finish disassembling both of these heads so I can get it sent out. But also I do have a load of parts that I'm going to go through right now, which is the expensive part, because this is probably part one of maybe 5 or 6 of this quantity of money getting this engine rebuilt. Well, it doesn't look like much, but this is probably about $2,500 worth of parts right here. So I'm going to go through each one, and they're all factory Mercedes parts. So right here, oil pan, you can see right there, because you remember that one is a little destroyed. So got a brand new oil pan. Timing chain, which the part number is, where's it at? Right there. There's your part number for the timing chain. And here's a bunch of valve stem seals. Part number is, where's that part number at? A bunch of part numbers, but valve stem seal kits. There's your part number right there. A612? Yeah. A612 050 0058. And valve cover gasket, parts kit, and this is a valve cover gasket parts kit. One side is that part number, the other side is the 1530 part number. Oil pan gasket. There's your part number. Upper oil pan gasket. You see right there. Upper oil pan gasket. Head gasket set. Exhaust manifold gaskets. There's the front gasket that goes right between the heads and the head gasket. That part number is right there. 1320. And these are side to side. Like this one side is different than the other side. And you can tell by the part number is 1320 on this side. This one is 1220. And oil pump chain, which is, I covered up the part number. It is 003-997-8694. And then this is a load of, I think these are bearings, connecting rod bearings, 120, 038, 9910, because remember the connecting rod bearings looked like they'd seen better days. So I'm going to replace all of those. Don't know what that is. So those are all those parts. Now I'm going to replace the piston rings because I took the pistons out and they look like they've seen better days also. And I'm going to replace one of the pistons. That right there is going to be another $3,000 because those piston ring sets, the piston rings are, that's about 200 bucks a piece, the piston ring set for each cylinder. And then one piston with the rings on it is about 500 bucks. So I'm going to replace all those. So there's another chunk of money right there. And I still need to get my hands on another car for all the electronics to get it to work. And what I'm going to try to do, hopefully that it's helpful, I'm going to try to convert this right here, this one, to coil on plug. So hopefully I can get a 96 thereabout car and get the all the electronics from that. The front timing cover right here, this is going to have to get a new one's going to have to put on there from the 96, because the 96 or the coil on plug version doesn't have a distributor cap and rotor right there. So that'll have to get swapped over. So hopefully that's the only difference. Hopefully the heads are the same and that just have to swap over the timing cover. So I'm going to try to do, that's what I want to do. Whether it actually happened or not, I don't know, but that's where we're going to, that's the direction I'm going to try to go. So right now I'm going to take this apart and I'm going to show you how to use the tool. Very similar, actually exactly the same as the 119. So if you've seen that video, then this will be very familiar to you. But for those of you who haven't, I'm going to take this apart right now with the valve spring compressor tool, and I have these stands. These right here are a little big. They're a little fat, so they don't really, the head doesn't really sit down too far, but it works because it's down far enough to give me workspace right here. And it's, like I said, I ordered a big one that is too big. All right, here we are. We have the valve spring compressor installed on one of the cylinder 6 exhaust valves, and I'm going to go ahead and take that off. You can see right there how the bottom piece is pressed up against the valve, and the top is and there it is. The top is holding down the retainer. And we're going to give this a spin, and you'll be able to see the valve spring getting compressed. And you can see down there, hopefully you can see down there, that you can see the retainers right there. Right down there. Almost going to be able to remove those with a magnet. Let's give that a try. There's one of them. There's the other one. Now we're going to release. There we go. And these are slightly conical. And now we can get the valve out. Here we go. Now I just need to do that 47 more times. All right, well, there's the valve seat. I'm going to clean that up too. I do have some of the polishing compound right here. And got the fine and the coarse. Probably take the fine to it just to clean up that sealing surface like I did to the 119 right down there, just to make it nice and clean. All right, here's the engine back from the cleaners. You can see it's all nice and clean. You can remember in between here there was a bunch of rodent poop, rat poop, whatnot, and now it's all nice and clean, nice and shiny. So let me flip it over and I'll show you the other side. All right, here's the other side. You can see that is nice and clean. Almost looks brand new. All right, here's one of the other heads. You can see how nice and clean that got. You can see even in here is nice and clean. Those aren't new plugs. I'm going to replace those plugs. One thing I'm going to do is I am going to clean up and touch up just a little bit more the valve seats right here. You can see there's a little bit of discoloration on there. I'm going to regrind those with some fine compound, and then just because I want to get the seat just to seal that much better. So I'm going to do that. You can even see in here the exhaust ports are nice and clean. So yeah. One thing you're going to want to do if you have your heads off, you're going to want to check the block for warpage. I did that for the 119. If you want to see how I did that, you can go check out that video. I will provide the link in the description below, or if I can figure out how to do it, I'll provide the link right at the top of the screen here. Then you can go check that out. But it's the exact same process. It's just 2 cylinders longer. You're going to check it like this, straight across, and then you're going to check it diagonally like that one way, and then diagonally the other way. And you're going to check to see if you have any clearance. Hopefully you don't have any clearance going across or in between any of the cylinders. And or if you do have any clearance, it's going to be very minimal, maybe 1,000th, maybe a 2,000th, something like that. Very minimal clearance. That will torque down and it will seal once you get a new head gasket on there. So I wouldn't be too worried if you have 1,000th or 2,000ths of clearance underneath there. If you notice right here, I am missing this bearing right here. So between getting this sent to the cleaners and now, I have misplaced that one bearing. You can see these other bearings right there, which it doesn't matter. I was going to replace those bearings anyway, but because the bearings for the crankshaft, the main cap right here, or all of them actually, they looked like they'd seen better days. So I was going to replace all those bearings anyway. But there is a process for trying to figure out which bearings you actually need to for your specific engine. Now, each engine, when you replace these crankshaft bearings, they will need a different set depending on how many miles you have, how much wear you have, if it's new, how old it is. There are going to be different specifications and different bearings you're going to need to order. And a lot of those bearings aren't going to be available anymore from the dealership. So you might have to find someplace aftermarket that has them still, and you can order them from them. But I will go through how to figure out which bearing you're going to need. Here I have some printouts. I printed them out just because it'd be easier for me to show you on the screen here, and then you can pause it where you need to pause it, and I can show you and go through with you what each one of these values and boxes means. So if you need to pause it somewhere, you can do that. You can see right here, there's more information right there. So on your block may be different than my block. Your crankshaft may be different than my crankshaft. But what you're going to need to figure out is you're going to need to figure out the markings on your specific crankshaft or your specific block. You can see right here where it tells you where markings might be. You can see that there might be some markings on the block itself right by the main bearing caps. My block doesn't have the markings. You can see right here, there are no markings right there by the main bearing cap or where they should be. So what I had to do is, and you might need to do the same, you might need to do a little bit of investigating to try to figure out where your specific marks are. And you can see right here that it mentions paint marks on the crankshaft. I don't have any paint marks on my crankshaft, so I did have to look for other information and other markings to try to figure out which one of these that I need. And you can see right here, this section of the chart indicates which different standard size crankshaft bearings you have that are available. You can see there's 3 different crankshaft sizes for that standard size, and then the other standard size you can see right here, there's another 3 sizes, and then down here there are 4 repair sizes, which means you have 10 different size bearings that are available, or at one point were available for the crankshaft of this engine. So you're going to need to figure out which standard size you need, and then what you're going to need to do also is you're going to need to figure out which thickness of your thrust washer right here that you have. So you're going to need to do some measurements and figure out what you have. Now the markings that I found out that I have are the there's a B on the crankshaft, and I'll show you that in a second. And you're going to have a number between 35 and 39. Now I have a 38, and I will also show you that in a second. So once you find out that information, you're going to see right here, you have blue, yellow, red, white, and violet. And you have 5 different colors of those paint markings. If you have the paint markings, but then you're going to need to measure the crankshaft bearing journal. And you need to figure out which one of these standard size or repair size bearings you're going to need. And then once you do that, you're going to have to pair them with the thickness of the thrust washer. So you need to measure your thrust washer also. So you need to get a caliper. You're going to need to measure that. And then you're going to need to figure out which part number you need to order. Now, when you go look at the parts guide, it will list different size bearings that you can order. And one standard size is 58 millimeters, and then the other next standard size was 57.985 millimeters. So none of those measurements are right here on this paper, but that's what the parts guide says. So let me go show you the markings that were on my crankshaft. So you can see right here that here's the crankshaft. Now, some of the paint markings that it said were going to be right next to mentioned they were next to the counterweights. I didn't find any paint markings next to the counterweights, but you can see right here, there's a B and a T right there. So that's going to be the B. I'm assuming that's going to be blue. I don't know what the T stands for, but let me flip this over and I'll show you the other markings. Now, here are the other markings. You can see right here, that says 120, 1201. I'm not sure what that means. There's some kind of symbol right there, and a Mercedes symbol. And then down here, you see where it says 38 MN and a 5. Now, the 38 is the number we're looking for. So we have the blue, and the 35 to 39, we have 38. Now, I'm not 100% sure what these measurements mean or these values mean, because the information right here doesn't specify, oh, the B38 means you need this size. I haven't found that chart yet, so I'm going to have to do a little more digging, but I will have to measure the bearing journal of the main caps to figure out exactly which size I need. And then right here, this is the shim that you're going to need to measure. That way you can figure out that you need the thickness of this, and then, like I said, you need to pair that with the bearing measurement that you need, or the crankshaft journal, so you can get the right bearings, because you don't want to get a bearing that's too wide for that space right there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to measure the crankshaft main bearing journals. That one right there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 right there. Now, when you're going to do that, you're going to want a caliper, not like this one. This one is not accurate enough. This one only goes down to 1 decimal point. So what I did is I went and got a micrometer. This works really well. You can find these all day on Amazon. This one was not very expensive, and they all look very similar. This one actually goes to 3 decimal points, so this one is accurate enough. So when you're going to replace your main bearings, you're going to want to know the actual dimensions of these right here, because you're going to want to know which bearings to order, because like I said, there are 10 different bearings available. So I have already gone and measured the crankshaft here. You can see right here. Let's find a journal that's easy to see. You can see right here. It's hard to do with one hand, sorry. You can see right there, barely makes contact and just glides right over. So you're not going to want to wrench it down. This tip does ratchet, so it prevents you from really torquing on there. You can see. So my crankshaft measures 2.278 inches. So converted that is about 57.83838 millimeters. So the bearings that I ordered are the 57.985 millimeter diameter bearings. So because I want to get just the right amount of clearance on the bearing right here. So the 57.985 millimeter bearings will leave about 3/1000ths of an inch on each side. So about 6/1000ths of an inch total difference between this and the bearing. So you're going to have 3/1000ths of an inch on this side for oil and 3/1000ths of an inch on this side for oil. So they're basically 3/1000 of an inch all the way around for oil, which is about where you want to be. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Next video, we're going to go and we're going to install the crankshaft main bearings, and then I'm going to plastic gauge that so we can verify just how much clearance I have on the with the crankshaft installed and torqued down properly. In case we need to get, maybe I need to get a different bearing set. So we're going to verify that, and we're going to go through how to do that. So thank you for watching. Hit subscribe and make sure to give me that thumbs up if you like the video, and make sure you hit the notification icon so you get notifications when I post a new video. Thank you for watching. See you soon.